'cause my monsters are real, and that train had a kill, and there's no coming back, and they just laugh at how I feel, and these monsters can...
Podcast is back. I'm here with my boy Dion, aka D-Son. Dion, say what up to the people.
What it do?
And we also got Mr. Bob Alvis along here with us, guys.
Greetings.
This man just says greetings. Like, well, we missed last week due to some sickness with myself and just life with Dion and life with Bob. You know, we all have our lives. We all have sickness and things we've got to deal with. Before we get into this episode today, we're going to talk about something that really hits close to home this past week. We had 9/11 this past week. We always remember that day as history. Like, that was rough time. If I'm not mistaken, I think me and Dion might have been in science class when that happened to us back in 6th grade, if I'm not mistaken.
Dude, I legit cannot remember anything.
Did they, like, when you guys were in school, did they, like, have to roll in a TV from, like, a library or
Yes.
something?
Yep.
So, like, is that cases, like, if y'all had, like, quote-unquote breaking news, because that was more of a thing when you guys were in school as opposed to me, but did they, like, say, hey, Dexter, go down to the library real quick. Get that TV. Roll it down here.
So we had the rolling TV in some of our classes, and then some of the teachers were actually up to date, and they had projectors.
Oh.
So, and Miss Abel, I believe, was my science teacher then.
Yep.
Shout out Miss Abel and Mr. Abel. He's doing big things down there, and if I'm not mistaken, he's at Richmond now.
Davidson. Scott?
Scott Abel.
Coach Abel, yes. Coach Abel's in Davidson. His wife, is it Chris?
Chrissy Abel.
Chrissy?
Chrissy,
Yeah.
yep. I forgot about that. Congratulations to them, by the way. Yeah, she had the projector, and we started watching breaking news all the rest of the period, and went to my next class, and there it was again.
Did y'all have Channel 1 when you were in school?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think we had everything you had. I think it's the generation after us that didn't have
If
none
y'all
of
have
that.
never seen what we look like, because you'll hear my greetings and Dion is like what it is and Daniel's like what's up and everything, it's an age gap. It has nothing to do with anything else. I am the old person in this room. People actually try to help me up out of a chair, which is very insulting, by the way. But, you know, I'm the old guy in the room. So, like, when I talk about Channel 1 and I ask, did y'all guys have Channel 1? Some people, I think, sometimes are like, what's Channel 1? Channel 1 was like a little, I want to say 15-minute little news thing that people would watch. Do you remember anybody on Channel 1, by the way?
No.
I don't remember anybody on it.
Anderson Cooper was on Channel 1 for
I
a bit.
forgot about that. He was.
Anderson Cooper was on Channel 1 for a bit. I will tell you this. You guys are very good in music. I'm okay in sports. But I am such a nerd to where, like, my TV and, like, it's almost like I'm Sheldon Cooper from Big Bang. Like, I have some eidetic memory about being able to recall old, useless facts. Nothing I can recall is going to help me out in a major pinch. But if I need to record old trivia, I'm your guy. So, yeah, Anderson Cooper was the biggest name. Lisa Ling, who was also on The View at one point, was also on Channel 1.
Did you ever watch Bill Nye the Science Guy?
Dion was mentioning generations. I think I was in the older generation by the time Bill Nye. I didn't watch Bill Nye as much. So when I was a kid too, Nickelodeon.
Yes.
Yep.
Now, what was y'all's Nick at Night?
Ooh.
Or
For
did
me,
you-
it was Keenan and Kel.
Okay.
Kel loves orange soda. I do.
Mine was George Lopez, honestly.
Okay. So y'all see, like,
I forgot about George
like
Lopez.
George Lopez, Keenan and Kel. Was it Good Burger actually, or was it Keenan and Kel?
So Good Burger was out, but Keenan and Kel had their own show as well.
Good Burger was a TV show before it was a movie. So was that in y'all's?
Yep.
Okay. So see,
Family Guy as well. South Park.
I'll tell you a quick story. When I was a kid, I didn't have cable, so I would have to go to my grandmother's house to watch like cable, and like, you know, it was Nickelodeon. Like, they had a show called Pinwheel, which was like, you know, like the cartoons and the live little puppets and everything like that. And when I was growing up too, one of the things that was big, USA actually used to have cartoons on, and they would call it the Cartoon Express. Scooby-Doo was kind of bigger when I was growing up.
Scooby-Doo.
Stuff like that. So, you know, I know what South Park is, obviously. I know, you know, what all these things are, but I wouldn't say they were my childhood as much as they were yours.
Yeah, I got you. So, yeah, we always want to remember those people that died in that horrific incident that happened there. Our thoughts and prayers go out to those families. They're still dealing with that, and I think it's kind of hard for people that lived through that survived. Anytime this day rolls around, because that's not something you want to relive. Like, I know I wouldn't want to relive it. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, about reliving trauma.
I mean,
that.
I will tell you this, and this is behind the curtain of Bob Alvis right here. I can get sad when I watch like sad videos, like, the tributes for the year when people passed on, stuff like that. 9/11 is one of those things that can trigger me, because when I was growing up, I was really small when the Challenger explosion happened, which was a big deal then, but that was also because there was a teacher on board of the spacecraft that blew up pretty much in the air.
Yeah.
But 9/11 probably to me, because I was, 21 when it happened. So, it's, I know where you're going with today's conversation, but it's all like when do you really get memories in your head? Like, how old were you? Because obviously y'all got 6th grade science to go down memory lane with. But, I can barely remember who my teachers were in 6th grade sometimes. But once I get into my 20s, I remember, and I was at CVCC with my then wife, and we were in the student lounge, and there were people just staring at the TV, because it happened right as we were going out the door. And when the first plane hit, people didn't know what was going on, because it was literally, hey, there might have been a plane crash in New York. But then when the second one hit,
Yeah.
then you kind of knew what was going on a little bit more.
And then they hit down in D.C. at the
Pennsylvania,
yeah. So that was one traumatic event for us that started basically, I guess you would say, our generation that people remember. Another one that I can think of that was not too far after that, if I'm not mistaken, 2008, 2009 was the Virginia Tech shooting. It might have been a little bit further.
So the Virginia Tech shooting was I want to say, first week or first month when I was actually working as a production assistant at WSCT.
Oh, wow.
Because people will say it must be really exciting to work at a TV station or whatnot. It is the most boring thing ever, because it's a job. But if something happens or something breaks, then it can get exciting. I didn't work there when 9/11 happened. The two most exciting days in my life from that are when the Virginia Tech thing happened and Jerry Falwell passing away.
Yeah.
Because those are, when activity starts moving around the place, it kind of gets a little exciting. When people are just, going to the snack machine to get A4 to come out of the vending machine, it's not as exciting of a day.
So we definitely those two big events, but then this past week we also had another huge event that happened. Our thoughts and prayers go out to Charlie Kirk's family. He was gunned down this past week by basically someone who didn't believe, I want to say necessarily didn't believe in what he had to say, or didn't agree with him. And I want to touch on this subject just a little bit here, because this one hits a little bit closer to home for me, because Charlie Kirk was a Christian man, and he lived his day just as Christ-like as he possibly could. He's not Christ in any way, but he lived to that law of the Bible and followed it step by step. And to me, that was just huge. And when I heard the news that he got killed, it almost was like I lost a family member that I was like a distant cousin, but it still hurt. And that was rough. Whether you believe in what he believes in or whether you agree with his thoughts, that's totally your opinion. Everybody, I believe, has their right to their own opinion. But for you to disagree with someone and kill them, killing is not wrong. And I'm sorry. Guns are not the answers to the problems. And what's wrong with our world today, I'm going to be honest, it's not weapons and it's not people in general. It's more so that you don't want to have a civil conversation with somebody and just sit down and talk about why you disagree with this person. Charlie Kirk was given that platform to people to where if you didn't agree with him, you could sit down and have a conversation with him and debate with him about why you disagree with him. He gave you that platform to talk with, which a lot of people don't give that platform to. If it's either their way or the highway. That I don't agree with, but that's just my opinion on it. I don't know what y'all's takes are on it.
I knew it. Well, to be honest, all I can say is I send out my condolences to the Kirk family, and bear with me. I pretty much said this a few times before. What has been said for the millionth And, for the 1,000,001 times it's been said, doesn't need to be said for the 1,000,000th and second time.
Gotcha. Bob, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think the world is so different now in terms of, I think that the 24-hour news cycle and social media is changing the world so much. I don't think people know who Charlie Kirk is to the level they do without social media and without the fact that he was kind of, that guy for the younger people type of thing. You brought up Virginia Tech earlier. I don't want to say that's when shootings became glorified, but that's when shootings, I think, kind of became more norm-ish. And don't get me wrong, that was a terrible, terrible tragedy. But unfortunately, I think that we have gotten to the point to where a lot of times a school shooting, a business shooting, a college shooting, whatever the case, oh, well, it's Tuesday. Somebody had to go on a shooting rampage today. And I don't think it hits us as much. But, anytime you are pulling a trigger at somebody from far away, I don't know how you label it as anything other than assassination. Because guess what? If I am far away from Dion and I fire a gun at him, I'm not firing a gun to scare him or to make him jump or anything like that. Chances are I'm firing a gun to hit him. And if I'm hitting him, well, I'm not trying to stun him.
Yeah.
So that's the thing I think that a lot of people, I don't know what the wording is, but I mean, I don't think I think it's a big issue, but how can we agree or how can we disagree without being to the point to where we want to bring weapons, whether it be our fists, whether it be even really, really hurtful words, because I don't know if you guys have ever had any words told to you and, they still stick with you now, but it might have been 8-9 years ago. Words can be super piercing too, but I don't want to have a memory of somebody to where the last thing or anything they said, hey, I remember a lot of good times with Daniel, but I really remember that time where he called me a stupid, blah, blah, blah. That, I think, to me is more piercing, and definitely once you escalate it into more stuff, then I think it gets really bad.
Yeah, I totally agree there. And also this past week, there was another school shooting. You talk about school shootings. This is getting out of hand. And usually we don't talk about these kind of things, but I feel like we should talk about these kind of things because this is real life. Like, this is happening in the real world. We living in a cruel, dark time where sin has just basically crept in more and more. And it's, especially in schools, like the bullying has gotten out of hand. And it's like I was telling Dion earlier off air. I don't know if Bob was here. He might have not gotten here yet at the time. But when you look at school shootings, the shooters, 9 times out of 10, no matter what the color of their skin is or what origin they are, I guess is the word I'm looking for. Nationality, I think is the better word I'm trying to look for there. They're the ones that are bullied. So that bullied person is the ones going to school, and he's probably looking for the ones that bullied him to shoot, but in the crosshairs, he's killing all these other people. This has gotten to the point where it's just ridiculous to see. It's heartbreaking, honestly. Like, guns aren't the problem. The problem is parents aren't taking care of the kids at home and telling your kids straight to them, bullying is wrong. Because this is the aftermath of bullying. We've seen it time and time again. We've seen it this past week. We've seen it with Sandy Hook. We've seen it with Virginia Tech. Like you said, Virginia Tech's when it became kind of the norm for everybody to see this. But, when does it stop? Us as people, us as Christians, us as believers, whatever you believe in, bullying needs to stop now. Just because I disagree with you or I don't like what you're wearing, and I admitted this off of air, and I don't know if this person ever listens to this podcast, but if he does, I want to say I'm sorry to Christopher Stewart, because when I was in school, I'll admit it, I was a bully, and I bullied this kid, and I paid the consequences of getting suspended for it. But looking back on it, I was young and dumb. I didn't know no better. I thought I was better than everybody back then, and let me put it this way, I got humbled pretty quick. And I'll be honest, bullying is definitely not something that I condone, and I'm fully against it. And if there's ever anything anybody needs or I can help them with, please reach out. I will be glad to sit and talk with you. But that's my take, especially on the bullying aspect and with the school shootings.
Well, a couple things. One, it's not a religious issue. I don't care if you're, Christian, Muslim, Jewish, whatever. I mean, I don't think anybody's religion is going to condone a violent thing. I think the other thing too is it's weird because to me, you use the word bullying, and I think a lot of people, when I was in school, we call it gotten picked on. And, when people pick on you, it wasn't as, I don't want to say it wasn't as mean, but it was different. It was different. And I honestly believe that social media has done more harm in this world than good, because you can bully somebody cyberly, you can text them. I mean, if Dion knows I'm bullying him, that's fine. But if I'm bullying Dion from 30 minutes away and Dion's never going to see my face, the bullying to me is almost even worse. Because what if Dion wants to take a swing at me? Well, what's he going to do? Take a swing at his phone? Take a swing at a computer? I mean, so I think I think the person who is, in your language, bullied almost doesn't feel like they have a way to retaliate, because, all right, if you tell an adult or tell somebody, that almost is going to make it. I feel like people are afraid of retaliation sometimes more than anything, and so. I miss
the days and times where we could just throw hands. Like, you didn't agree with me or you bullied me. I'd much rather we throw hands, and if one of us beats the other person's butt, then so be it. We just shake on it and we go our separate ways after that.
Well, that's the thing. I think we can skip the throwing hands, but if we can just agree to disagree and shake hands, and I'll go my way, and I just love bringing up Dion because he's right in front of me, and Dion can go his way, we're fine. I don't think your politics should matter. But unfortunately, we have become a country that is extremely partisan in terms of politics. So what's the good way to answer this? I've seen a lot of stuff on my Facebook lately, and it says, we need to do better. And when I see that, I'm like, I don't have friends that are going to go out and choose to try to shoot people. So, for somebody to say we need to do better, what is this we? What do we need to do? One person can make a difference, sure. I mean, everybody will say every vote counts or whatever like that, but when I hear the we need to do better, I'm thinking, well, I'm already doing pretty good. So what do I need to do better? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. I truly think, and this is just me coming from the Christian aspect, everybody needs to get closer to God. I think as a nation and as humans, we've gotten so far separated, it's insane. And when I sit here and think about things, I like Charlie Kirk as an example. I think his life on earth and the people that these kids, I reference back to John chapter 8 in the Bible about how Jesus was with a Samaritan woman who was an adulterer. She committed a sin, and everything in the Bible that it tells us, we can sit here, cuss up a storm, bully people, kill people. All of those sins are all the same. The only sin that's not is blaspheming of Christ the Lord. It's one sin that's unforgivable. So all of these people that's done this, they still can be saved, and that's just that's the type of God that we serve and live with. That's just amazing to think, but it's also sad when you think about everything that they've done to these people. So that's my thoughts on this whole situation. Like I said, our thoughts and prayers are out to all of the families, and we also want to pray for the young lady who I believe was from the Ukraine on the train that got stabbed this past week. And
end of the whole day, we just have to agree to disagree. If I don't say what you want to hear, skipping your throwing hands, we just need to walk our separate ways and be like, all right, Daniel believes his way, Bob believes his way, because arguing it back and forth is just going to make people more mad.
I agree, but then there's also some cases where you should be able to sit, and like I told Dion earlier, one of the biggest problems I think in America, or everywhere honestly, is people don't know how to communicate with others, and disagree. He's sitting here pointing at the phone.
You want to get back to some civility, in my opinion. Put down your freaking phones when you're having a conversation with somebody.
Yeah.
That is, to me, I have seen so many people, and I'm not going to say I'm not one of them, but I've seen so many people glued to that phone to where I'm literally thinking I might have to take them to the hospital for a panic attack if I took it away from them. And I think when you have, I think the thing that scares me to death is for people that are in high school now, how are they going to know how to communicate with people in real life? Because guess what? At some point, maybe we're going to get more technology, but at the end of the day, you always have to be able to look at somebody and have a conversation with them. Preferably respectfully, but I mean, I will bet you that there are kids that you can't even have say hello to somebody, and where do we go next? I mean, you know, like I honestly think hello should be a starting point, not a stuttering point.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people could say hello to somebody, and the two people are just going to stare at each other, and they're going, "All right, who's going to go next?" I mean, it's not a who's going to go next thing. Did you see that game the other night? No, I didn't. Who was playing? We can have a conversation.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to McDonald's? No. What do they have?
Yeah.
You know, or my favorite thing is the ice cream. Well, I don't like the ice cream. Okay, good. We've started something.
But see, that's the thing, like having a civil conversation with somebody, like me and you may disagree on something, but then we hear each other's points on why we disagree on that. And I think that's a huge part, especially in today's world where you need to be able to have that and it be realized that it's okay for people to disagree with your thoughts and have their own opinion, just like we also need to realize that other person has a right to their opinion and not disagree with them.
Yeah.
Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. My thing is, like, when you sit here and you go after people for that and you basically don't give them the chance to speak, and I always reference back to John chapter 8, and I know I'm going biblically here tonight, and normally it's not something I do, but I think about the Samaritan woman, God sitting there just drawing in the sand, and he says, let one person who has not sinned throw the first stone at her. Well, guess what? Every one of them have sinned, just like all of us. So nobody threw the stone, and Jesus simply said to her, go and sin no more. I'm not going to condemn you just like they didn't condemn you. That's kind of like where I look at, like, okay, so as Christ walked with us and he sits there and he tells us, everybody's entitled to their own opinion. These people thought she was bad and because she was an adultery. Well, not according to him. She just sinned. And that's a huge part of what's wrong. Like, God doesn't hate people, just like God doesn't hate the gays. He doesn't hate transgenders. Like Dion said, one of our favorite Christian artists, Andy Mineo, said in his song, what was that lyric you said?
I apologize what Christians would pick it saying God hates the F word. I promise Jesus wouldn't act like that.
And that's true. That's a true statement. Jesus doesn't hate people or hate what they are. So, like, he doesn't hate the gays. He doesn't hate the transgenders. He doesn't hate blacks. He doesn't hate whites. He doesn't hate if you're Democratic or Republican. He doesn't hate none of that. He hates the sin. That's what it is. But back to, like, sorry to get off topic there. Sorry, I do a lot of side notes here. Sidebars, as we like to call it.
You,
Part 2.
Mr. Sidebars over here.
Communication is the thing. Like, we as humans need to be okay with people not agreeing with us and disagreeing with us, but have a simple conversation. That's all. Just have a simple conversation and just talk to the person. Hear them out. You listen with your ears and not with your mouth. I guess is kind of the way I want to say that.
Well, and stop disliking people just because of R&D.
Yeah.
Because I feel like the R, not research and development, by the way, but I feel like if somebody identifies themselves as an R or identifies themselves as a D, the D, Democrats, automatically are not going to like the Republicans because of what they stand for, and ditto. The Republicans are not going to like the Democrats. I will tell you this. I have had people in my life that I do not share probably any political beliefs with at all, and I mean any. But at the end of the day, that is not why I am their friend. That is not why I'm going to be their friend. That's not going to make me love them any less or anything else. So, you know.
Everybody's human. We all have our own beliefs. We all have our what we like. I like rap music and hip hop, country, pop. Now my mom, she's the exact opposite. She likes country, she likes pop. But when I play a hip hop song, she dislikes it. That's her opinion. She's entitled to it. I can't sit there and argue with her on it because that's her opinion. But we can sit there and have a humanized discussion about why I like it, and she can tell me why she doesn't like it, and we've done that. And then there's also some songs where she's played that I don't agree with, that I don't like, and I've sat there and said my piece on it. Like, just having that simple conversation, not just with your family member, but with somebody in general. Me and Bob went to West Virginia last week to call a game for Heritage football. And we actually sat there and talked about people, and we touched on this subject on that long drive, didn't we?
It was a long drive.
That's probably the longest drive I think we've ever had to take together, won't it?
It's a longer drive than I've had with most people in my whole life. It was four hour trip.
Yeah. Well, 8 hours if you figure 4 there
Well,
and 4
yeah,
back.
it's good. I think I slept a little bit on the way back. Allegedly.
This man fell asleep snoring halfway back down the
Probably
mountain.
like sleep apnea, and I'm probably gonna like kick the bucket in a few days or something.
You ain't
Just hope
kicking
not.
no bucket. Lord, don't say that to us. But yeah, that's where we stand on it. Like we said, our thoughts and prayers go out to all of those families that were affected by this horrible tragedy that happened this past week. And just know bullying is not okay, and it's okay for people to disagree with you. Just hear them out and just communicate. Have a communication, a simple discussion.
Well, let me
That's
ask
all.
one question based on that, and this guy's for both you guys. How do you build communication with another person?
I'm gonna let Dion go first on that one.
How you gonna let? Okay, hold on.
I didn't mean for it to come to you first. I just said, here's a question for both you guys.
Great day. I knew he was gonna hand a baton of communication to me, which is messed up because he knows me almost better than literally everybody we met together. Me personally, I'm almost antisocial person. Like if you catch me on a good day, I don't mind, saying this and that. But most of the time, I just stay focused on the task at hand, whether it's work, hobbies, like playing a game, for instance. But how do I initiate communication? Yeah, I don't think I can answer that.
Okay. Pass it back to you, Daniel.
Say your question again. I want to make sure I'm hearing it
I
right.
don't remember what it was. I think it was something about communication, like how would you define it or whatnot?
Just simply being okay with talking with somebody who may not have the same beliefs or same agreement with you.
But how do you do that? I think that was the question. How do you develop communication
You
with
find
somebody?
something with common ground. So
100%.
and to
100%.
me, like I'm going to use you as an example, Bob. When I first met you, I was working at the Hillcat Stadium, and we bonded over baseball, just simply talking baseball.
Well, I was going to use Dion as an example for me. I mean, Dion and I can just talk about football picks. I
Yeah.
mean, Dion doesn't know me greatly other than what I've shared when I've come in here, and I don't know Dion greatly other than what he has shared with me or what you've told me about Dion. But I mean, basically, rapport can be built over a McDonald's ice cream cone or about who do you like to win Sunday's game. I mean, it doesn't take a lot, and I guarantee you this.
It can be decided over a coin flip.
Well, let's pretend you have two different people in school. You have either that super popular person, and I'm going to use the term nerdy person. You have a highly economic person, and you have a very low economic person. So basically, I'm saying rich and poor. Everybody's got something they can talk about with somebody else. If the rich person's never been to McDonald's, don't bring that up. Hey, I see you're wearing a green shirt. I like the color green. What makes you like the color green? There we go.
Yeah,
There
I
you
just
go.
simply started a rapport right there.
And that's the thing. Simple. It does not need to be so that Isaac Newton guy and his law of relativity, what do you think?
Yeah.
I mean, it can be built off something like, hey, I see you're drinking out of a plastic bottle. Do you like those plastic bottles better than, the travel bottles or the tumblers that people carry? There we go.
Yeah.
I mean,
It could be the simplest thing. Like, you could be driving a Jeep, and I've always wanted a Jeep. Man, I like your Jeep. Where'd you get that Jeep? Like, how's the gas on it? Just something that simple. Like, it doesn't have to be religious talk. It doesn't have to be
probably best it's not.
political views. Like,
Probably best it's not.
yeah. Because for some reason, everybody likes to disagree with the other instead of hearing people out.
And you know what? If there's people out there that are quiet and reserved and, more antisocial, your words, not mine. There's still room for those people too. I mean, I'm not trying to get anybody to, become something they're not. I'm just looking to hey, why do you like the color green? I mean,
Just simply, I guess you'd say bridging that gap between not knowing somebody and knowing somebody, I guess is the term I would use there. We just want to thank you guys for listening to the S&D podcast today. We just want to appreciate everybody for tuning in. Just remember, you can check us out on Apple, YouTube, and Spotify. And we look forward to talking to you guys in our next episode. Yes, sir.
Yo, so this is no justice, no peace. Well, let me speak my piece. Rocking the gospel of peace and it's going down. I'm aiming for the crown. Please pray for Ferguson and rest in peace, Mr. Mike Brown. Okay.